Meanwhile, globally, the focus is on India's economic policies. India is the world's fastest growing economy. The IMF says it could become the third largest economy by 2027. And this is despite 2 wars, multiple conflicts, and global economic gloom and doom. So the question is, how has India managed to remain the bright spot? How is it defying these trends? What will be the impact of rising global debt and artificial intelligence? Earlier today, I spoke to Borge, the president of the World Economic Forum. Here's an excerpt of that conversation. Mr. Brende, welcome to Firstpost and thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
We are living in a world with 2 major conflicts, 2 major wars rather, and multiple other conflicts and deepening divisions. First of all, what impact do you see on the global economy in the year ahead?
So the global economy is doing much better than we expected. So we were afraid that we're going to be faced with a recession this year, and we do now expect the global economy to then grow more than 3%. What we are faced with instead is kind of a global geopolitical recession, and we do hope that those conflicts that you were mentioning, Ukraine, Gaza conflict, doesn't then escalate in a way where they will also have severe negative impact on trade and growth.
How do you think India is faring in this larger global environment, and what is your assessment of India's growth story and trajectory?
So India is also an economy that, of course, relies on other countries and the global situation. But since growth is back, even if it's lower than trend growth in the last 3 decades, trend growth was close to 4%, now we're a little bit more than 3%, India is doing incredibly well. I have to say that India is the fastest growing of the large economies in the world. If India continues with its reforms, I think India in the coming decade can become a $10 trillion economy. And what does that mean? It means that India will be the 3rd largest economy in the world, and it means that more people get opportunities for jobs and a better livelihood. We should not forget that India has, due to this growth that we have also seen the last years, eradicated poverty at an impressive scale. 400 million people has been lifted out of extreme poverty. This has only been seen in China at that pace in the past.
And India is a democracy, so with all the compulsions or the trappings of a democracy, to be able to achieve this is interesting. And this 10 trillion figure is something that you have mentioned in the past as well. You've said that India is on track to becoming a $10 trillion economy in the coming years. What is the X factor that you see in the Indian economic landscape? Why is it able to buck the global trend of slowdowns? Is it the policy decisions? Is it larger geopolitical forces? Or is it a combination of the two?
All the above, I would say. The reforms have been important. We're seeing that infrastructure is changing very fast in India, hundreds of new airports. We're also seeing trains and roads. We are also seeing that the Indian economy is opening up, more open to foreign direct investments, more level playing field. Of course, also India has benefited from this diversification of value chains. Many countries say they cannot have just 80–90% of products being manufactured in one country. And you also have this so-called friendshoring that India is benefiting from, especially, I think, the largest economy in the world, the US, also are now increasing manufacturing coming from India. Just look at Apple. There's not a lot of Apple iPhones produced in India just a few years ago, and now it's like 25% of their production. And I would also add that we're seeing stronger growth in services and the digital economy than the traditional manufacturing. And India is stronger on services and digital. So also the fact that India has quite digitally literate population, especially the young, is working in its interest. And also, of course, this digital ID was important in this broader context.
So from a policy perspective, what would your prescription for New Delhi be? More of the same?
More of the same. I would also make sure that the revenues that will come from a growth of 8% are invested in areas where it further increases India's competitiveness in the future.
In fact, global agencies like the IMF and the World Bank have also been raising the concerns over rising levels of debt, especially in the developing world. What sort of risk do you think this unsustainable debt poses to the global economy?
The problem is that when the growth is pretty low, to go into an austerity situation now would also not be a good thing, because we still have to support growth. But the interest rates are also high because of the inflationary pressure that is there. A lot of this debt was taken and committed in a situation where there was zero interest. And when you now have 4% interest, interest rates has now become the largest budget cost in many developing countries. And this is very worrisome. These money should have been invested then in school, education, and health and infrastructure.
Mr. Borge, Brende, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and insights with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.